Hey everyone, how is everyone doing with their quarantine life right now? I was thinking when I make these videos, because I upload them to Instagram and YouTube, and somebody might be watching this video like years from now, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that time when we were all quarantined. But anyways, I wanted to continue on with my series on understanding your hormones. And like I said, this was going to be a 5-part series, and today is number 5. So if you haven't gone back and watched all of the other videos, I suggest that you do, because our hormones are so interrelated with each other, and one hormone can affect another hormone. So understanding how they all work and how they work together is very important. So I was trying to decide which hormone I was going to do as my last, because there's many hormones in the body, but there are some specific ones that tend to affect us most. So I was trying to decide between, was I going to talk about testosterone, which is important for women, or would I talk about insulin? So I decided to talk about insulin because I feel like with women in perimenopause and menopause, the 3 hormones that probably affect them mostly as far as weight gain goes, and as far as how they're feeling and things like that, energy levels and all of that, are your cortisol. So your cortisol is your stress hormone, your thyroid, and your insulin. So if any one of those 3 things is off, that can definitely lead to a whole bunch of symptoms, including weight gain. So, and cortisol and thyroid are actually very related to your insulin. So if either of those 2 things are off, they can actually be leading to insulin resistance. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, is insulin resistance. So what happens is when we eat food like any type of carbohydrates or sugar, our pancreas releases insulin, and that insulin is a hormone that tells our body to store that sugar as glucose to use later as energy. Okay, so that's good. We need that, right? But what happens is when our body has too much insulin in it, which is normally caused by too much sugar, too much maybe eating too often, snacking too much, where our body's constantly producing insulin and constantly producing insulin. When that happens, our pancreas kind of gives out, and our cells no longer have the room to store any more of this glucose. So what we start doing is we start storing it as fat, okay? And that's when it becomes an issue. So the more fat we store, the more insulin resistance that we become, actually. So some of the other things that can make us become more insulin resistant, besides weight gain, is smoking, and lack of exercise, and also poor sleep. Okay, so poor sleep can affect your insulin levels, it can affect your cortisol levels, and all of those things. So what are some of the signs that you might be insulin resistant? Well, if you eat a diet very high in sugar and carbohydrates, there's a good chance that you could be insulin resistant. If you have a lot of cravings for sugar or even salty foods, if you are constantly thirsty, if you have frequent need to urinate, or you have tingling in your hands or feet, you're suffering from a lot of fatigue. The one thing with insulin resistance, a lot of the symptoms, and I mentioned this I think last week when I was talking about thyroid, a lot of the symptoms can be similar to symptoms that we have with menopause, like mood swings, fatigue, weight gain, okay? All of those things can also be a sign of insulin resistance. So sometimes it's hard to know when we're a woman in perimenopause or menopause. Are these symptoms of perimenopause or menopause, or are they symptoms of a low thyroid or insulin resistance or something like that? No matter what the symptoms are coming from, they need to be fixed because obviously they can lead to more serious issues. So with insulin resistance, if left too long, that can lead to diabetes. And we know that diabetes is, a disease that we don't want to get, okay? So, so taking care of insulin resistance early is very important. So, how can we do that? Well, obviously, one of the main things would be our diet, okay? Making sure that we're not eating a diet that is super high in processed foods, refined grains, a lot of things like chips and crackers and pastas and things like that, or high sugar foods, or, even making sure that we're not going too crazy on the amount of fruit that we're eating. I mean, fruit is good, but you don't want to just have a whole diet of only consuming of just fruit. So you want to make sure that you're eating foods like foods high in fiber, a lot of veggies, a lot of nuts and seeds, a lot of good healthy fats, and some nice good, lean proteins and things like that. If you're, vegan, you want to make sure that you're doing, that you're not doing such a highly grain diet, but maybe doing a little bit more of legumes or things like that, and definitely more veggies in your diet. And so diet, one main thing. Exercise, okay? Exercise helps our body use insulin better. So you want to make sure that you're exercising. You want to make sure that you're getting proper sleep. And you want to make sure that you are really working on stress levels because cortisol can, produce more insulin. You really want to make sure that you're working on overall hormonal balance, okay? So again, that was kind of the purpose of this series of 5 videos is for you to understand some of the main hormones in your body, the main ones that we really deal with as women that are going through menopause and perimenopause, and understand how related they are and how necessary it is to fix some of the underlying causes so that you can start feeling like yourself again and start losing weight again and not suffering through all of these symptoms that can happen during perimenopause and menopause. So definitely, if you feel like insulin resistance is an issue, you want to start taking care of that immediately before it leads to something like diabetes, okay? So again, I just want to let you guys know that hormonal balance is key for women going through perimenopause and menopause. It's really key for, men and women all together. Our hormones are what control so much of what goes on in our body. So if you feel like you are off at all in any of your hormones, or you're just having symptoms that you just can't seem to get rid of, you have weight gain that just isn't going away, even though you're exercising and you feel like you're eating right and all of those things, there probably is some underlying root cause that is making these symptoms worse or making this weight gain or weight loss more difficult. So please, if you feel like you need some assistance on this, click on the link in my bio, schedule a complimentary consultation call. Hey, I'm at home. I got lots of time for your calls. So, and it might just be nice to reach out and talk to someone. So anyways, schedule a call. I'd love to talk to you guys. I'd love to help you more with your hormonal balance. And I hope you guys all stay safe and healthy, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.